All right, and we're back with the program. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here on the PCC Multiverse. And I'll tell you what, it's that time right now because the coronavirus is creating havoc. And I know at this point in time for the moviegoers that are out there that, they're getting some brief glimmer of hope. Certain states are trying to open up a little bit by little. And some of the things that may be opening up in the not too distant future are movie theaters, although no one can reasonably expect a large mass of theater openings for at least some time to come. So I think that's wise for many of these studios to go ahead and move off of the scheduled release dates for many of these more popular movies. And that leaves the question, where will these movies go, and what movies do we need to look forward to for the rest of this year? And here to answer some of those questions today is a great guest that I've got on. Cannot thank him enough for joining us. If you go ahead and check out his awesome podcast, it's the Watchers Movie Reviews, available today wherever you get your podcast. You not only get great movie reviews, but just deep insight into the entertainment realm, TVs, movies, what have you. They just some great conversations right there for you. I've listened to a couple episodes already. Yes, they do talk about Tiger King, so I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek on that one. They do talk about Tiger King on the show, but it is a great show indeed. It is Brad Campbell, and Brad, I cannot thank you enough for being part of the program today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great to have you aboard again. Like I said, just your show really breaks it down as far as not only the movies, but again, even something special like Tiger King when it comes to Watchers Movie Reviews. But as a movie fan or movie buff per se that you are, you've obviously been keeping an eye out on all these movies being shifted to either later this year or in some cases even a year away.
Yeah, it's been kind of crazy. I'm in a weird situation. As a huge movie fan, I'm also a dad, so I don't get to the theaters a whole lot to see the movies that I want to see. So in this situation, with all the going straight to video on demand and streaming, some of it's worked out better for me than normal. I'm getting to see a lot more things that I normally wouldn't get to see. So, like for example, I went and seen Onward and The Invisible Man just before everything started shutting down. But that is very rare that I get to two movies that close together. So whenever they started putting them all online, I ended up getting to see Emma, The Hunt, and Trolls World Tour, which my son loved. And funny enough, I was really wanting to see No Time to Die. I had never seen a James Bond movie. And that was the one that sold me on it. I was like, I'm ready for this. And sure enough, that was the one that got pushed to another time. So I will eventually get to it. But
it's being pushed back to November. Interesting that you say that, because it seems to me like you're not alone in the fact that maybe somebody that hasn't approached the Bond series yet, and there's other individuals who say they've never seen a Star Wars, they've never seen a Marvel movie. So there are people that kind of shy away from those, those benchmark films that are out there, those film series and film franchises. So you're not alone in that context. It's interesting. Have you gotten a lot of flack for not already taking a dive into 007?
Yeah, a lot of my movie friends just constantly like, what's wrong with you? Like, how can you have not seen any of them? Most of them have only watched the Daniel Craig ones themselves, though. So
no, I can't say, again, I blame you, although I have seen every Bond film. I will tell you that. That's just because 007, even from an early age, has appealed to me. But I'm not going to say that that's someone that hasn't appealed to you. So it was just feel bad for you that No Time to Die was finally that moment you were going to go ahead and step into the world of James Bond. But unfortunately, it got delayed to November. But speaking of films that you are interested in, I know as someone who is as a big movie buff for you, are there any major film franchises that you have been like really high on that you are really waiting for films to come out, to extend those film franchise series?
Yeah, I really wanted to see Black Widow. Um, I thought it looked great. The addition of Taskmaster had me really excited because I wanted to see what they would do with him in the Marvel Universe. You've seen some little teases in the trailer there, him using the different weapons and things, and I want to see how far they take him, and if he's just going to be like a one-off villain or if he's going to be someone that'll be there throughout the rest of the MCU.
Well, that's very interesting because when it comes to Black Widow, it's just something that I know you and I both want to go ahead and see it. For me, it's just been that long-standing justification of something I've been saying for years, that there should have been a Black Widow movie come out long time ago. It's way overdue, and in fact, the movie itself places it back in a further time period just after Captain America: Civil War. So it's something that it is long overdue, and I know a lot of people want to go ahead and see it. And again, that movie has been pushed back to November. So you're seeing the effect of what this unfortunate, thing or ordeal that we're going through is something that is very, very tragic, very, sad for everyone involved. Not only because of the loss of life and the illness and the whole nine yards, but the way of life that has been adjusted for everyone, and that includes going to the movies.
Right. We did get some good news here. Probably next month, I guess, the middle of May, there was an announcement that we have a drive-in movie theater here that they said to be opening.
Oh, well, that's good news. That's good news indeed. I know we have one here in Las Vegas that has remained open, although still to everyone in Las Vegas, or to many in Las Vegas, that seems like a foreign concept. But yes, I have seen at the Las Vegas drive-through actually see a great number of people, even with the stay-at-home orders, try to go ahead and frequent it and ask to frequent it because of the fact that it was such an outlet for people to go ahead and see what was going on and have some type of semblance of normalcy in such a difficult climate right now. But the movies that have been pushed back, everything from Mulan to Wonder Woman to all the other great movies that are out there that are supposedly on the way. I mean, Eternals, the whole Disney lineup, the Universal lineup. We've seen all these movies taking shape that have been pushed back. Is there one movie that you have in mind that hurt you the most when you were saying to yourself, man, I really wanted to go see that now, and I'm really so disappointed in having it being pushed off?
It's probably Black Widow, but I was really excited to see Mulan too. Normally, the Disney remakes, I can take them or leave them. This one actually had screenings and was getting pretty good reviews. People really seemed to enjoy it, so I was ready for it. And Mulan is one of my favorite Disney movies. I thought it was going to be great. So yeah, I was a little bummed that that one didn't end up being coming out on time.
And the interesting part is anybody who saw it, as far as from a film reviewer standpoint, such as you are a movie reviewer and review many great movies, all the movie reviewers that did get a chance to see it on that opening night that they showcased it at, as far as for the advanced screenings and whatnot, can't say a word because of embargoes. They've seen it months ago, but cannot say a word until the actual movie comes out. So the irony there, in that they want to tell you how good or not so good Mulan is, they can't unfortunately do that because the movie is not coming out anytime soon.
Right. And another one would be A Quiet Place 2. I love the first movie. I really like horror movies, so I was excited for that too. But like everything else, we gotta wait.
And the bad part of it was John Krasinski and Emily Blunt were already doing press for that movie at the time that was pulled
Yeah,
last minute by the studio. So it's something that they feel, the studio, when the studio decided to pull it and not go ahead and have it go straight to video or stay a week out in the theaters, that tells me that there's a lot of confidence in that film because it was such a big surprise hit the first time around. So I know a lot of people like yourself and everybody else that's very interested on it is creating that type of buzz for it. So it was something that I think there's a lot more expectations this time around for A Quiet Place Part 2.
Yeah, that's right. And if the trailer's any indication, I think they'll probably nail those expectations.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Before we head on out, I want to ask you one thing on this year, one thing on next year, and of course, tell everybody why your show, the Watchers Movie Reviews podcast, is such a great show that people need to check out every time you drop an episode. First one we'll deal with this year. And the best movie you have seen so far that has come out in this, I guess I could say, truncated year so far.
Yeah. Um, I would have to go with Onward, I think, Pixar movie. The trailer didn't really do it justice. It seemed like it was going to be like another Good Dinosaur, something like that. But it's full of charm, great world building, and it's just a lot of fun. I really liked it.
I thought it was a solid movie myself. Thought it had a lot of good things to say about it. I know I can see why it wasn't or is not going to do going to be on a lower echelon, all time to the amount of money it generates in the Pixar films because it's a little bit low. Disney sort of didn't put its full substantial advertising behind it. I don't think like they would have for other Pixar properties, but it is a movie. I'll give you credit on that one. It's something that I enjoyed for what it was. I like the relationship between the brothers, and even though Chris Pratt is nowhere near the age of what the main character represented in the film, hey, you got to go ahead and take liberties on that. Pratt and Tom Holland, they do have a good chemistry together within the framework of the film. So it is something I think people should go out of the way to see. It's on Disney Plus now, so I think it's something that when it comes time to say what this movie was a good movie for this year, I definitely think that it's going to fall within that realm.
Yeah, I agree.
And for next year, because I know a lot of movies that have been pushed to next year, but even if there's a movie that hasn't been pushed as of this point, there's still going to be a ton of movies next year to deal with. Is there any one movie that you know that's coming out next year or that got delayed to next year that is really something you are looking forward to see?
Has the Eternals been pushed to next year?
Yes, it has because
Yeah.
because Black Widow bumped its slot,
Right.
and the Eternals bumped Shang-Chi, and Shang-Chi bumped Doctor Strange 2, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, probably the Eternals. That would be my pick. Yeah, I know nothing about the Eternals. That was the same thing going into Guardians of the Galaxy, and that ended up being one of my absolute favorites. Seeing some of the press from like Kumail Nanjiani and his insane workout and the shape that he's gotten in is kind of neat just to kind of see where he's going with it. I don't know if it matters when it comes to the movie or not, but yeah, I think it'll be all right.
That's what happens when you hang around Dave Bautista for a bad movie. You got to do something.
Yeah, that's right.
But I agree with you on the assessment that because Marvel has done so many things right with the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far, and especially when it comes to Guardians of the Galaxy, that's a great correlation that many people, including myself, have made on this very show, is that, we didn't know anything going into Guardians of the Galaxy. In fact, a lot of comic book fans didn't know, a lot about the Guardians of the Galaxy that were in the Guardians of the Galaxy because they were not even the most, in many cases, readily used Guardians of the Galaxy as far as from the comic book or whatnot. They were kind of all, some of them in some cases were kind of a little bit distant and not that out there when it comes to the comic book series itself. So it's funny because this is now a point in time where we have so much faith in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to do something quality that the Eternals, something that even with advance notice and advanced teaching and advanced information to a general public out there, the general public, for the most part, is still going to say, "Who are the Eternals?" Just like you and I are saying, "Who are the Eternals?" Because I haven't read the series, and it sounds like you like you said, you don't know much about them yet. But we have so much faith in Marvel that it is going to be an inevitability that a lot of people are still going to check it out, just because Marvel has produced so many times before.
Exactly.
Well, before we head on out,
And
my
on the
friend.
topic of
Oh,
Marvel, okay.
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
On the topic of Marvel, I'm very excited for Doctor Strange 2 as well. Especially now that Sam Raimi is going to be directing. Be interesting to see what he does with another comic book property.
I would love Bruce Campbell to be the villain, but that's just me.
Me too.
I think he's got it in him from one more hit movie, personally.
For sure.
Sam Raimi, I couldn't agree with you more. His mind and the way it works it looks like to me it's going to be a great fit for Doctor Strange too. I was worried though when it was in its original May slot. I had said that because Scott Derrickson was just continually boasting about how Doctor Strange 2 is going to be this first Marvel horror movie or Marvel
Right.
attempt to be in something horror. And in the May slot, when you want your largest audience, when you get your largest audience in the May slot, late April, early May slot, that to me sounded like it's a little bit concerning if you wanted to go over commercially, because then you can't, family, if it's a horror movie, family, or anything resembling that, the family can't take the kids, et cetera, et cetera. And so you're almost undercutting yourself. So Disney may not be shedding too much of a tear by moving that to October or November, I believe, of next year. Anyways, but they are moving it to the fall. And in its place comes Shang-Chi, which has my co-host Josh and I also excited because of the fact that this could be a really sweet kickoff on a worldwide basis of the Kung Fu genre that we haven't seen for a long time, since maybe either when Jackie Chan movies started crossing over into the US, or like when then he evolved into Rush Hour or whatnot, or when that great movie Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon came. So I want to hear your thoughts now that Shang-Chi is in what is traditionally the highest grossing period of the year. What does that say for you as far as maybe seeing Shang-Chi, in the Marvel and the Kung Fu genre being put in that kind of limelight?
I think it's great. To be honest, I'm not a huge kung fu guy. I haven't seen a lot of the movies. I do like them, but I would be very interested. I hope that's what happens, because with technology and just the level of film and everything today, a new kung fu movie could be pretty great. You see glimpses of it in things like John Wick, I guess, with the fight style and things like that. But to really like dive into it, get some real good kung fu movies, I'm all for it. I think it'd be great. Hopefully, Marvel goes heavy on the kung fu with Shang-Chi as well.
I certainly hope so as well. And this coming year, 2021, will probably be the biggest gamble of a year for Disney and Marvel Studios, because you have not only one, but two unproven properties, both getting very big spotlights next year in the Eternals and Shang-Chi. And on top of that, later in the year, you have that Marvel, especially with Sam Raimi now involved too, PG-13 bordering on an R-rated, possibly even, maybe not, but some type of scary horror type elements in it that they haven't done before in a Marvel movie. And that to me is something that is going to be leading into something next year where Disney and Marvel is taking big gambles at various points of time of the year. And this could be, like I said, the biggest gamble that Marvel has ever made with the three films they've got coming out next year.
Yeah, that's right. I think you're spot on with that. Yeah, because nobody knows who these people are for the most part. So hopefully people still pay attention. I'm sure once they see that big shiny Marvel logo on everything, they'll still flock to the theaters and watch it anyway. Like you said, it's been proven they've done such a great job. So hopefully,
well, exactly. So we
continues.
got to go on in faith, and if we are, Marvel's a great place to start.
Yeah.
Well, before we head on out, my friend, again, I'm speaking to Brad Campbell from the Watcher Movie Reviews podcast. You got to check it out everywhere you get your podcasts. But I've said some great things about it, and I just gave it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. But don't hear it just from me. I want to hear it from you. Tell everybody out there why people need to check out the Watchers Movie Reviews podcast.
Yeah, what makes us a little different is my co-host Colson and I, we pick a genre every week. So it could be dinosaurs, it could be 90s comedies. We did Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. And then we each pick a film from that genre and we both break them down and review them. Colson, he's completely at the opposite end of the spectrum. He hated Parasite, he hated Jojo Rabbit, two of my favorite films of last year. So we get into arguments all the time about what is a good movie and what's not. We always have some bonus content, if it's either news, top 10 lists, things like that. Yeah, and we're constantly putting out new content. We're having a lot of fun doing it. So we're both movie lovers. We're both dads that have small children, so we end up seeing a lot of kids' movies and things like that too. We have something for everybody.
I'll tell you what, I agree with you on Parasite. It was my number 2 movie of last year, just behind The Farewell. And then I also thought
great.
very high. What? Sorry?
That was a great movie as well.
Yes. Loved Awkwafina's performance. Best performance last year overall. And then, when it comes to Jojo Rabbit, a very solid movie as well. I enjoyed that. Taika Waititi, in the role that he was in, just took a lot of daring. And I think the daring alone, for me was one of the reasons why I overall enjoyed that film as well. So definitely some good picks there. So you can tell him I said that I thought it was your picks were really solid there. But again, it is the Watcher Movie. Again, it's the Watcher Movie Reviews podcast. You got to check it out today, and it's on all podcast formats. Your outlet, it's on all podcast outlets, right?
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, Brad, it's just been great talking to you about movies. You're welcome back anytime to talk shop when it comes to the movie industry and anything you're seeing as far as what's good, what's not so good, what's out there. When we finally get back into the theaters, hopefully that's sooner rather than later, we'd love to talk shop with you again about what's going on in the world of movies.
Can't wait. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being again a part of the pop culture cosmos.